Es una de las películas más esperadas del verano y hoy tengo el gran placer de conversar con su director y protagonista, Patrick Wilson, acerca de Insidious The Red Door.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey Patrick, how you doing? Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Good to see you.
Thank you. Let's start talking about your experience as director and an actor at the same time. How did it feel to step behind the camera for this project?
Behind and in front. I was on both sides. Yeah. No, it's at times pretty overwhelming, wearing a lot of hats. But I love it. I love the challenge. I wanted to push myself. I don't like to do things that are easy. So this this worked out well, for sure.
That's amazing. So I'm curious, what initially drew you to the horror genre and what continues to attract you to it?
Sure. Well, honestly, the first Insidious movie, if I think about the movies that I've done, the horror films, it all started with Insidious. And when I read it and I spoke to James Wan, the director, I knew that it just felt different. I really admired what he was doing in the genre. This is the guys that created Saw, all of a sudden were creating this PG-13 movie where they think the house is haunted and they move. And I was like, no one ever moves from a haunted house. This is crazy. And then you find out it's the son, and it just like this onion peeling throughout the whole movie. And I really loved it. I loved the structure of it. And it was so tiny and small. It was shot for under $1 million. And the fact, and it made me just fall in love with the genre. So I knew if we got that one right, we'd come back and do the second one. And then somewhere in the middle of that, James asked me to do The Conjuring at the same time. So all of a sudden I thought, wow, am I going to do 2 franchises with the same director? I guess so. Here we go. So, the reality is, if they weren't successful, we wouldn't have been back for 2, 3, 4, 5, all of that. So, yes, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
As an actor, how did you balance the psychological aspects of the horror with the physical demands of the genre?
Right. Yeah, because acting in horror movies is not, it's exhausting. It is. I'm not going to lie. I mean, listen, we've got a pretty cushy life, and I'm not, digging a ditch somewhere. So I'm certainly blessed. But I think because acting in horror movies, it's a tall order. You've got to be sincere. You've got to be melodramatic. You got to be scared. You got to be loving. It's very heightened. So it does take an emotional toll, especially on a movie like this that you're dealing with a lot of family trauma. So it got pretty emotionally exhausting, but that's what I wanted. I wanted something very cathartic for the audience and for these characters, and to really get invested in their struggle. So that's really, even though usually the most difficult parts are the most rewarding. So that was certainly the most rewarding side of this for me, is that emotional release that I think the film has.
So I'm going to finish with this. And in your opinion, Patrick, what makes the Red Door in Insidious memorable or unique compared to other horror movie elements?
Right. I think we've got a really interesting blend of different types of scares that are new even for the Insidious world. So that was exciting for me. And at the end of the day, you've got a father-son story, and you see a family going through a struggle and how they relate and work through their own trauma and traumatic events. So I think it's really relatable as people. And then, of course, it's just exciting and scary, and hopefully will induce some nightmares.
So thank you so much, Patrick, for your time again, and congratulations for your
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The further you travel, the riskier your journey will become.